อาจารย์ชำนาญ Today our group including me, Lilada, Nasha, Gornthawat, Shanan and Patita gonna present you the result of our survey named the investigation of parents and guardians of high school students in taking extra class. And this is an overview of our survey. The main hope of nation lies in the proper education of its youth, said Elon Musk. Education is an important key to develop nation, so that our group show this topic. And the other reason is we observe that nowadays there are many tutoring schools existing, either in form of private, DVD, computer or live, in fundamental subjects like mathematics, science, English, Thai, and social. We believe that existing of this tutoring school affect the quality of Thai education system, whether it isn't good enough so that students have to take an extra class. As we know, the first rank who enter medical or other faculty, most of them have taken an extra class. But for sure, there are so many people who can't afford to pay the expenditure of it too. Since there were many groups that survey the opinion of the student itself, so our group decided to survey the opinion of the parents instead. Parents have a significant role in supporting their child taking an extra class. The objective of this survey is to reflect the quality of Thai education system and to investigate parents what they think about taking extra class and the effect of taking extra classes of their children.
Hello everyone, I am Nacha Padiseli and I will present you about the samplings, questionnaire form, results and analysis of this survey.
Samplings of our survey consists of 60 participants, which 14 are fathers, 27 are mothers, and the rest of them are guardians. This is overall lineup of our survey. We divide the questions into two main types. The first one is general information, and another one is opinion questions. Questionnaire form. We use Google Form as an online questionnaire. It consists of 18 questions within 2 pages, which include background questions, questions about taking an extra class, reasons of taking it, detail about overall factors when children take an extra class, and also their opinions about this norm.
Now, let's see the results of our project.
As I have said that most of the participants are mothers, which equal to 45%, following by 31.7% of guardians, and up to 78.3% of students whose parents take part in this survey are in M5. The percentage of students who are in science maths program is about 81.7%.
Greetings, my name is Gornthawat and after this, I'm going to analyze and conclude graph number 4 to graph number 10. Let's get started.
For graph number 4, it is the graph of percentage of high school students who attend extra classes. As seen that 98.3% of the parents answer that they have their children attending extra classes, while only about 1.7 doesn't. This shows that nowadays, most high school students give priority to their own education. And in addition, it also shows that having extra classes becomes really popular currently.
And next to the graph number 5. It is a graph that shows the reason why most parents send their children to study in extra classes. Seeing from this graph, the reason that is very outstanding the most is to get prepared for entrance examination for about 50 out of 60 interviewees. On the other hand, academic competition turns into the lowest popular reason for about 13 out of 60 interviewees. And for grade improvement, students desire and using time wisely are quite medium. This shows that since students reach high school level and begin to prepare for going to university, their parents give studying extra classes for their children's future entrance examination as the most important thing, while still keeping their children to improve their grades in school, to respond to their children's desire, and to keep their children out from having worthless free time. This is a graph of how parents have their children traveling for extra classes. From graph, 50% of parents give their children a ride to extra classes by private cars. 35% have their children travel on their own by SkyTrain, and 10% by getting on the bus, 1.7% traveling by boat, 3.3% have their children studying at home. From the graph, it shows that most parents give priority to their children's security, as they give them a ride to extra classes by their own cars, and 46.7% want their children to take care of themselves by letting them travel alone by SkyTrains, buses, and boats. However, some parents have their children studying at home for their security and convenience, and no one usually walks to extra class. For graph number 7, this graph shows how long students take to extra classes, both with and without parents. 41.7% of students spend 10 to 15 minutes to get to their classes. 31.7% spend 45 minutes to 1 hour for traveling. 15 minutes of students take for 5 to 10 minutes traveling to their classes, and 11.7% take for more than 1 hour. This shows that 10 to 15 minutes is a standard time for students to travel to their extra class. But however, the value number of students who takes for 10 to 15 minutes is more than the number of students who spend less time than that. From the graph number 8, this graph shows how long students attend the extra classes. From the graph, about 48.3% of students study for 2 to 5 hours in a day. 25% spend for 1 to 2 hours, and 20% spend for 6 to 8 hours, and 5% study for only 3 minutes to 1 hour in a day, respectively. Besides, there are 1.7% of students who spend for about 8 hours and longer than that in studying extra classes. This graph shows that most students choose to study for 2 to 5 hours, which can be assumed for half of a day. And this can be assumed that 2.5 hours is the standard time for students to have equally studying and free time, while a few of them choose to spend more than 8 hours or more than that, which wastes their time for a whole day. Graph number 9. This graph shows how much money parents give to their children due to the day their children go for extra classes. From graph, number of parents who give their children for 100 to 200 baht, 200 to 300 baht, and 300 to 500 baht are quite equal for 26.7%, 25% and 20% respectively. There are 13.3% who give their children for 500 to 700 baht, and 1.7% gives 700 to 800 baht. However, parents who give more than 200 baht or more than that, or about 13.3%. It shows that parents often give their children 100 to 200 baht per day. According from a result and assumption from the previous graph, it shows that children doesn't need that much money since they can have only a meal time after class and then return home, or sometimes their parents treat them to lunch or dinner. For my last graph, the graph number 10. This graph shows the attitude of parents toward transportation systems convenience. Honestly, 53.3% do not neither satisfy that much or disappoint with the convenience of transportation. While 35% say that the transportation is good, and 33.4% say it is bad. However, 8.3% are really satisfied of the transportation. The overall of this graph shows that transportation isn't neither satisfying nor a problem that affects towards students attending in extra classes.
Hello, I am Shanan Thanasan Sohaphon, M5/13, number 28. Today I will be presenting the result of the questionnaire from question 11 to question 16. According to the question 11, data indicates that most parents in Youthinburana school thought that the price of additional courses are normally acceptable. Parents usually don't have an extreme comment, either extremely bad or excellent, as 8.3% and 3.4% respectively. It can be briefly concluded that the price is neither too cheap nor too expensive to be paid. Results from question 12 are similar to results from the previous question in terms of the level of appropriation. Parents feel okay about the money they pay for extra classes. Parents also have few comments whether the cost is extremely acceptable or not. According to data in this question, it can be observed that parents may have a stable financial status, having enough money for living expense. Continue to question 13. The advantage of attending extra classes. For more than 80% of the advantages of attending extra classes is having a better score in the school as the first advantage, followed by having no score change respectively. It is surprised that lower score is not affected from attending extra classes. From this chart in question 14, more than 80% of parents agree about students attending extra classes, but less than 20% does not. Problems from extra classes that students are facing, according to parents' observation, are mostly based on high expense and no adequate relaxation, about more than 50% for both of them. No time for the family is also the problem, followed by the previous problems. It is surprised that there is no problem happen from extra classes for 21.7%. The students who have no problem from this activity may have able to manage their time for each activity, which few students could accomplish for good time management. From the question 16, asking about surroundings and atmosphere of extra class center, the overall results are mostly in positive direction by being clean and tidy, as the comments answered the most for 75%. followed by having enough seats waiting for students and being large and wide. There are also some negative comments about the atmosphere for not having enough seats and being small. Result of the question shows that the cleanness of the center is all in good standard. As you can see, there is no parents choosing the choice dirty.
My name is Patita Sansuphap, number 14, and I'm going to discuss and analyze question number 17 to the conclusion of our investigation. From graph number 17, the appreciation of parents and guardians in service of staffs in extra classes centers show that 63.3% of them accept and think the service is very good, and only 1.7% said that the service is bad. So it can be observed from the graph that staff in extra classes center have standard and provide good service for parents and guardians. For the last graph of our investigation, question number 18, asking the overall satisfaction of parents and guardians about the student attending extra classes, shown that 60% are satisfied and only 1.6% is a very small amount of participants say that they are not satisfied with the extra classes. At last but not least, the conclusion of this investigation of parents and guardians of students in taking extra classes. Most of the participants are mothers of Youthinburana school students in Mathayom 5 and study in Science and Math sections. Almost every single student attend extra class in order to study for their entrance examination to the universities. Students usually travel by private cars and for a short time, about 10 to 15 minutes, that they study extra class near their house for their convenience. The range of their daily expense is from 100 to 300 baht. And most of parents appreciate the convenience of transportation and they feel okay with the cost price and the living expense of students. For the feedback, students get better scores in school as a feedback of attending extra classes. For the agreement of students attending extra classes, the parents agree with it because they want to give the best education and future for the children. Not having enough time for relaxation is a problem from attending extra classes in most students, and also the high expense, although the parents feel okay about it, but they kind of want the expense to be lower. Parents satisfied with the extra class centers about cleanness and the space provided, and also the service of the staff. For overall appreciation of parents and guardians of Youthinburana school students in attending extra class, they are satisfied with it. As I have said earlier, parents and guardians are the ones who are quite involved in students taking extra class, mostly involved because they want their children to have good future. These investigations also show that extra classes become one of the norms for many students nowadays. And this norm shows the quite low quality of Thai education system.